coming up on this edition of Carolina Week. Hundreds of students flooded the quad, but not to enjoy the sunshine, and students across the state joined the protest.
Cows, goats, trees? We'll take a look at some of the unusual ingredients that might be in the cheese you eat.
Happy birthday to you! Do you remember your 5th birthday? Well, one UNC student just celebrated his last week. All that and more, Carolina Week starts
right now.
From the UNC School of Journalism and Mass Communication, covering Carolina in HD, this is Carolina Week.
Today, UNC System President Margaret Spellings wraps up her 2nd day on the job. Good evening, I'm Ben Smart.
And I'm Sharon Nunn. Thanks so much for joining us. Spellings' new position sparked controversy last October when the Board of Governors elected her in a closed-door meeting. Spellings started her job at UNC as assistant president on Tuesday, and many are still outraged about her appointment. Paris Alston joins us live at Wilson Library in the heart of UNC's campus. Paris?
Yes, Sharon, students are furious. Hundreds of them and some faculty too gathered here outside of Wilson Library yesterday to continue their running protest of the selection of Margaret Spellings.
Stand up, fight back!
That's how some welcomed new UNC President Margaret Spellings. Why did they do this?
I deeply care about equitable education access and making sure that students who are marginalized and disadvantaged have the opportunities and resources that the most privileged do. I'm also incredibly passionate about democracy, and I don't think the BOG and I don't think Margaret Spellings represent that at all.
UNC's Board of Governors selected Spellings after former President Tom Ross resigned last January. Some say the board forced that move. Students are upset because they weren't part of the selection process and because they feel Spellings represents things UNC doesn't support as a public university.
She wants an open dialogue of all races, all genders, all sexual orientations, but her past history does not show any of that.
We couldn't reach Ross for comment, but he stated the following in a newsletter Tuesday. "It is unfair to blame her for what happened to me or for the process that selected her. Instead, we must all realize she is now the president of the best public university system in America." Will Weirson, vice chairman of the UNC College Republicans, says he supports Spellings.
Can't look at the UNC system and say that there is not waste in our school right now. And so I'm looking forward to seeing how she can save money and promote higher education in our state.
As for those who disagree, they plan to continue protesting until they feel justice is served. Spellings will serve a 5-year term as president. In an email Tuesday, she announced plans to travel to all UNC system campuses to hear students and faculty's concerns. Sharon, back to you.
That's Paris Alston live at Wilson Library. Thanks for that report, Paris.
One of the most important days during the election season is now in the books. Super Tuesday results are giving us all a clearer look at who will be racing to the White House. And Luis Fernandez joins us now to break it all down. Luis, what happens?
Well, a lot. They call it Super Tuesday for a reason, Ben. There's still a long way to go until the general election starts, but it's always a really good indicator. If you win Super Tuesday, you might get the nomination for your party. Let's go ahead. 11 states were up for grabs, so let's go ahead and take a look at what we've got going on. Now, Donald Trump picked up 7 wins. His delegate total is now up to 319. It remains a 3-man race with Ted Cruz in 2nd and Marco Rubio in 3rd, after picking up his first win in the primaries last night. With the Democrats, Hillary Clinton's lead is even larger. Like Trump, she also won 7 states on Tuesday night, while Bernie Sanders picked up 4. As of this morning, election officials counted 8.3 million votes on the Republican side from Tuesday. There was a huge increase in nearly every state compared to previous years. But for the Democrats, there was a drop-off across the board. What does this shift in enthusiasm mean for the general election? I investigated to find out more.
Hey, you registered to vote in Chapel Hill? Thank you very much. Hey, you registered to vote in Chapel Hill?
Yeah.
Thanks so much. Great, thank you very much.
Life can be hard for Jacob Weinberg. The UNC student stands in the pit trying to get people to register to vote.
The right to vote is a constitutionally guaranteed right. You should exercise it.
Weinberg works with NC-PIRG, a public information research group helping students register to vote in the presidential primaries this year.
The registration deadline was February 19th in North Carolina, but if we go back even before then, we're noticing an interesting trend. Compared to 2012, voter turnouts for Democrats at primaries has been way down, as low as a 30% decrease at South Carolina, for example. Now, when we compare that to Republicans, we're seeing record turnouts. At the Nevada primary, there was a 127% increase.
David McLennan is a political professor at Meredith College in Raleigh. He attributes this political excitement to 3 factors: Donald Trump, a crowded field, and dissatisfaction with the government.
You've seen the government shut down a couple times. You've seen gridlock. You kind of look at Washington and say, nobody's governing.
Which, according to McLennan, opens the path for a political outsider like Trump to gain support. McLennan says there's a parallel between the presidential hopeful and our current president.
Obama brought new people into the process, and that's where Trump is doing well. He's bringing people who have never participated in the primary or caucus into the primary and caucus process.
But when it comes to the general election, McLennan says Trump could be in trouble.
He has such high unfavorables. I think we still see almost 60% of Republicans not voting for him.
But Weinberg says no matter who you support, just go vote.
You have the ability to get into a voting booth and say, hey, you're not doing what I want you to do. I'm going to get someone who will.
The North Carolina primary for both parties is March 15th.
One thing McLennan wanted to stress, Democrats historically tend to vote in large numbers come November, Ben.
All right, Lewis, we'll have to wait until then to see how the nominations shape up. Thank you.
Well, back to local news now. Chapel Hill police are on the lookout for a man who exposed himself and tried to grab a UNC student Monday. According to Alert Carolina warning, the incident happened in an off-campus area near Granville Towers and the fraternity court. The man police are looking for is 30 to 40 years old, a Hispanic male driving a red 4-door sedan.
After months of indecision, the controversy about outsourcing the student stores could soon be settled. The university has accepted proposals from 8 parties vying for full or partial management of the student stores, which have operated independently for more than a century. The store's current management also proposed its plan to keep the stores locally controlled. Many students and faculty have protested outsourcing the stores. A committee of students and faculty will make a decision in April.
Workers have removed a Chapel Hill monument after complaints about the words engraved on it. The old Chapel Hill Cemetery recently added a monument to honor the African Americans, but after less than a month in the ground, it's gone, leaving just a patch of dirt. Town officials say they ordered workers to remove the granite marker after receiving numerous complaints about the words "person of color" on the monument. It's now up to Chapel Hill Town Council to decide how to fill the empty space.
Executive Vice President of Duke University, Tallman Trask, could be facing a lawsuit. He's accused of hitting a parking attendant with his car and then using a racial slur against the attendant. The incident occurred in August 2014. Details came out in the Duke student newspaper on Monday.
Durham citizens might feel a bit safer on their streets if the Durham City Council votes in favor of a new policy. The policy would give Durham police body cameras like the ones used here, but the vote won't happen until early next week. Purchasing cameras like these would cost the city more than $300,000. Council members say they want to see the policy help Durham citizens while also protecting the privacy of those on the videos.
This 3D printer on your screen here is more than a decade in the making, and what it's printing isn't science fiction, it's reality.
Find out what it's bringing to life after the break.
Stay with us. You might have heard of 3D printers. Well, researchers at Wake Forest University have unveiled a 3D printer of their own. It prints living body parts. I visited that research lab to find out which body parts they've printed to life and how they say it could help wounded veterans. This is a 3D printer, more than 10 years in the making.
You have 3 things moving at the same time, allowing the 3-dimensional component of the tissue to be formed.
Dr. Anthony Atala is the director of the Wake Forest Institute for Regenerative Medicine. He says this machine can print living tissues, including muscle, bone, and cartilage.
This is actually a screen showing you what's actually happening at the printing level. So you can see the actual printing process going on. down on the scaffold itself, and this is actually a piece of jawbone.
Instead of using ink, the printer spits out a special gel mixture consisting of cells and nutrients. The printed dots slowly dry to harden.
So you need very small nozzles, down to 1/80th the diameter of a hair.
One advancement with these printed structures are tiny channels that let oxygen reach the inner cells.
In a way, creating a highway, if you will, allowing the nutrition to get to the tissue itself.
So far, the tissues from this printer have only been tested in animals. Researchers found they became vascularized, meaning blood vessels successfully formed.
Part of our goal is to get these technologies to our wounded warriors.
Atala says this printing research is a step towards creating custom tissues to replace damaged body parts.
One of the major things that is frustrating is really to be able to be in an operating room and have to put a piece of plastic or metal when really you know that the best solution is to use the patient's own tissue.
One day, Atala says, using the patient's own cells to print full-size organs. The Armed Forces Institute of Regenerative Medicine funded part of the research. The team plans to implant the printed tissues in patients in the near future.
Although they've been growing in popularity astronomically, e-cigarette users might have found another place in smoke in Orange County. Let me start over really quick. E-cigarette users may have to find a new place to smoke them because they can't do it in all public places. County health officials want to help ban e-cigarettes from restaurants and bars. They're citing new research that shows secondhand smoke from e-cigs can pose health risks. The new policy will be up for public discussion and a vote later this spring.
Cigarettes have been linked to cancer, and new research shows playing sports on turf fields might also be linked to the disease. The source of the problem might be the turf fields themselves, which are made out of recycled tire crumbs. 3 government agencies are looking into whether this material could be causing long-term health effects, such as cancer. There are more than 11,000 of these fields across the country.
Researchers at multiple universities, including UNC, have found a Charlie Sheen effect with regard to a disease that affects more than 1 million people in the U.S. The study found Sheen's announcement on November 17th corresponded with the highest number of HIV-related Google searches in the U.S. on a single day, 714% higher than normal. There were approximately 2.75 million more Google searches with the term HIV on that day. The study could lead to more educational campaigns for protection against HIV.
In 2012, the FDA conducted a surprise inspection of one cheese manufacturer and discovered that, well, its Parmesan cheese contained no real cheese, but rather cheaper cheese and wood pulp.
A follow-up study by Bloomberg News has evidence that we might all be fooled by the cheese we're eating. CB Cotton has the story.
Isn't that beautiful, though?
That's Greg Overbeck. He owns 411 West, a local Italian restaurant, which uses only freshly grated Parmesan cheese. Why?
Well, it's a pretty simple answer. It tastes the best.
According to a recent study by Bloomberg Business, freshly grated Parmesan might not only taste the best, but also be the best. The investigators tested brands of packaged Parmesan cheese, finding that Kraft brands had nearly 4% cellulose, Walmart's Great Value had nearly 8%, and other brands had nearly 9%. The FDA limit is 2 to 4%. Cellulose is also found in lots of other foods. Foods such as Eggo waffles, Kraft mac and cheese, and Jimmy Dean's breakfast bowls. The list goes on. Cellulose is sometimes called wood pulp because manufacturers grind up wood to extract it. So is what we're eating safe? Beth Mayer Davis is the chair of UNC's nutrition department. She says that extra sprinkle of cheese won't harm a thing.
Not a health threat.
But she says people have a right to know what's in that cheese.
The consumer, oftentimes simply wants to know what is it that they're purchasing, what is it that they're eating. And in this situation, there was an excess.
An excess that will keep Overbeck from using store-bought Parmesan.
It's just nasty.
And in some cases, against federal regulation. In Chapel Hill, I'm CB Cotton reporting.
The first lawsuit against Great Value about their Parmesan cheese began last week. Last week, a tornado. This week, well, nothing but sunny skies.
Meteorologist David Dixon has the forecast for a warm start to March.
Those 70 degrees temperatures felt absolutely amazing. but they didn't last for long as temperatures are around 50 degrees today as a cold front moved into the area and brought down temperatures into the low 50s. Sorry about that, but let's look at this. It should feel like spring as we're actually in the start of meteorological spring. Meteorological winter actually ended a few days ago with that leap day, and now we're well into meteorological spring that lasts for 3 months into May. So we should see some warmer temperatures, but we're not seeing those anywhere near for today. Temperatures around 50 degrees as that cold front brought in very frigid air, and it's going to struggle to really get out of the lower 50s as very chilly conditions continue. And it's going to be fairly blustery as well as wind gusts will be up to 25 miles per hour. That's going to make it even feel even colder. And let's go to a low pressure, our surface map where you can see that low pressure and then that trailing cold front along it. You can see it's already pushed past us in North Carolina, so much colder air is very behind it. And so that cold front actually brought in a few rain chances for last night, but now we're only seeing clear skies as this high pressure system brings sinking air and much colder air from the Arctic. That's going to drop temperatures that don't really feel like spring. You can see temperatures around 20s in the north and freezing around the mountains designated by that blue. For us in here in North Carolina, mostly around the 50s. You can see the cold front actually pushing out those warmer temperatures designated by those reds. And the warmest temperatures were actually much late last night around midnight with slightly warm temperatures around 63 degrees. And since that cold front pushed in, temperatures just dropped like a rock down to 48 degrees at 9 a.m. and around 12 we got some warming due to the sun, but not really much to push us past 50 degrees. Very cold conditions tonight, so be sure to bundle up with those clear skies, not giving us anything in terms of any warming with temperatures below freezing at 29 degrees. For tomorrow, you can see that high pressure system actually being pushed off by a low pressure system right behind it, and you can see some rain associated with that. So all that we'll really see for tomorrow is mostly cloudy skies and a chance of rain. You can see some snow, but that's going to be mainly to the north of us, so we shouldn't see anything in terms of snow. But the cooler temperatures remain even into tomorrow. Mostly cloudy skies, that chance of rain, like I said, but it's going to struggle to get out of 50 degrees with winds from the southeast. And you can see cooler temperatures remaining even into this weekend with partly cloudy skies. Friday and Thursday still have that rain chance with mostly cloudy conditions, but temperatures aren't really going to even reach anywhere near what we saw last weekend with those warm springtime conditions to conclude with the very beginning of March. And we're just going to see very cool temperatures at least for the next week or so.
Well, how about the allergies? That's my first question. When are those going to start kicking in?
So with the start of spring, we're actually going to see more allergies as the plants begin to bloom with the warmer temperatures. So start your medicine very early.
Okay, well, I'm really looking forward to the day when I can wear those shorts again because I'm getting so tired of jackets and winter clothes. So,
yes.
All right, thanks, David.
Of course.
Well, Grayson, back at it again with the tripping.
We'll see if the Tar Heels can stay safe this weekend when they visit the Blue Devils.
Back to Carolina Week. I'm Kendra Douglas with sports. The last home game for Carolina basketball this season was the end of an era for the program. All the seniors got a big round of applause before the game, including Joel James, Bryce Johnson, and Marcus Page. But it was the young guns that carried the team. Joel Berry hit 2 threes on the night. Justin Jackson asserted his way to the 7th straight double-digit point game. Even Theo Pinson hit a 3, just his 6th in the ACC play. Seniors finished out with the win. After the game, there were some emotional speeches, but an emotional Williams says there's more work to be done.
I've got some championship rings, some conference rings, and all that stuff, but I would give so much if those kids could get something like that.
The women's basketball team in action this afternoon, taking on Pitt in the first round of the ACC tournament. We'll take you to the final seconds of regulation. Wait for it, and boom! Another Jamie Cherry, Jamie from Jerry Chamey to send the game into overtime, but overtime didn't go well for the Heels. The Panthers went on a 7-0 run to start the extra period, and the Heels just could not keep up. Pitt takes the 82-72 win, and the Heels season comes up close. The 6th-ranked Diamond Heels are in action this afternoon at the Bosch, taking on Winthrop. The game started at 3, so it's not quite over yet. Carolina currently trails Winthrop in the 7th inning at a shaky start from J.T. Rajowski. The freshman made his collegiate debut today, but lasted just 2 innings after allowing 3 runs. Carolina Eli Sutherland just hit a solo home run to bring the Diamond Heels within 1. The Heels play again on Friday afternoon against Fairfield. The Duke game is 4 days away, and Brett Thompson took one last trip back to Krzyzewskiville to catch up with some tinters and maybe uncover a decades-old mystery.
Tint checks. Krzyzewskiville residents flock to the headline monitors, let them know they're there, and check in via a cell phone app. It's how the monitors keep order among hundreds of eager residents who are lined up to see their Blue Devils take on the Tar Heels. But Duke didn't enter the week without controversy, as sophomore guard Grayson Allen was caught trying to get a leg up on the competition.
So I didn't see it actually happen in real life, but things you should know is that the Florida State player was actually holding and pushing him the entire game and hit him in the head right before the trip occurred.
I'm sorry, I'm not sure what you're talking about. I didn't see any tripping at all.
Despite what they say, there's still more controversy surrounding Allen. As we've previously investigated on Sports Extra, Allen bears a suspicious resemblance to Senator Ted Cruz, who, according to 38% of Floridians, could be the Zodiac Killer. That begs one obvious question. Is Grayson Allen the Zodiac Killer?
Well, I'm pretty sure Grayson was not alive when the Zodiac Killer was around, so my answer is no.
Only people I see Grayson Allen killing is, just all the poor UNC players that just had to make their way onto the court.
But would Duke students still support Grayson Allen if he were the Zodiac Killer?
Yes.
Absolutely. Probably even more.
I think it's official. 2 months in a tent have made these guys lose their minds. Fearing for my life in Durham, I'm Brett Thompson reporting.
Fix it. And this just in with Carolina baseball up 8-5. You guys, they're doing well so far. And the Duke game's coming up. High hopes for everybody.
I have a good feeling about this game, but back to that tent city at Duke, they wait days in line and not even guaranteed a ticket. At least at UNC, we have a lottery system.
Exactly.
Well, proof that we're better in just about every way.
Exactly.
Thanks so much, Kendra.
Well, birthdays are always special.
But how would you celebrate if yours only came around once every 4 years?
We all have birthdays every year. Well, not all of us.
Elise McLaughlin sits down with one college student who, based on his birthday, should be in grammar school.
Sophomore and resident advisor John Thomas turned 20 years old this week, but he celebrates his actual birthday only once every 4 years.
My birthday is February 29th, 1996. This year will be my 5th birthday.
Thomas says people ask him the same questions year after year about his leap year birth date. The biggest? When does he celebrate his birthday when it's not leap year?
Growing up, I tried to keep it in February, but then as I got older, I realized that people were happy to say happy birthday on March 1st, so I thought, I might as well get 2 days worth of happy birthday celebration.
Leap year happens every 4 years because scientists built an extra day into the calendar to ensure it aligns with Earth's movement around the sun. Next year isn't a leap year, so according to his driver's license, Thomas will celebrate his 21st a day early on February 28, 2017. His mother used to bring cookies to his class when he was a kid. Now that he's in college, she brought a cake, reminding him that he's really only had 5 birthdays.
I'm typically a very childlike person.
The chemistry major says his birthday reminds him to be a kid at heart. In Chapel Hill, I'm Elise McLaughlin.
Oh, that's such a sweet story. I actually have an interesting birthday. I am a July 4th baby.
Are you? So fireworks on your birthday?
I actually thought they were for my birthday every single year until I was about 10. That's when I finally figured it out.
Well, on the note of birthdays, today is my brother's birthday, so happy 15th birthday,
Happy birthday
to my brother John.
It's a little smart.
And with that, we wrap up this edition of Carolina Week. Thanks for watching.
And have a good night.